Hello friends, this is Emily Williams and this is my very first video. No, it is not my very first video. It's about my 10th video. So I've made several test videos, but let me tell you, you keep making test videos and you think you're going to finally hit upon something you're totally satisfied with, and that's not going to happen. So I'm just throwing my hat over the fence right now. And this is my first video to go on YouTube. And you can expect that this is like a Flosstube because I do some cross stitch, but it's also like a variety show because I enjoy other crafts such as quilting, especially some knitting, so forth, other handcrafts, embroidery. And I tell stories, I talk about books, board games, Lego models, all kinds of things really. So it's the Flosstube and Variety Show, Flosstube #1. And I am coming to you tonight from my home in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And I live here with my husband. We have an adult son and he's married. He's been married 5 years this month. And I'm retired, recently retired from a job at our church. I was the head administrator, in charge of budgets and management and things like that. My husband works for IBM as a programmer, and we have lived in Chapel Hill. Well, I came here for grad school in musicology, and he was an undergrad. We met at UNC, home of the Tar Heels, go Heels. And we met and got married 39 years ago in this summer. So, been here quite a while. But I'm originally from Michigan. I was born in Michigan and grew up in Western New York. So I'm not a Southerner by birth, but I've lived here well over half my life, almost 2/3 of my life. So, here I am. I will say that I had the experience that I'm sure many of you did, which is to watch a lot more YouTube over the past year and a half than ever before. Several YouTube channels really inspired me to pick up cross stitch again and to think about how to present my work. As I was preparing to retire, a good friend of mine and I are starting a long arm quilting business, and that was something that I was watching other people's YouTubes to see how do you promote yourself, your skills, your services in the world of social media. So over the next several episodes, I will continually mention some of you who've had an influence on me, some other YouTubers, Flosstube and others who've had an influence not only on my YouTube channel, but also on my understanding of my craft, the different things I'm interested in doing. So I appreciate all of you, and over time I'll mention you all, but I don't want this initial video to be too long, so I'm not going to try to do everything at once. When I was a manager of people at my church, I would say to the new employee, I would say, I know that there are things you want to do, there are things you want to accomplish, but remember, you can only do one thing first. So just be patient. You can only do one thing first. So I think it is typical of these Flosstubes to start out with things you've finished. And I actually have a finish, which I finished since the last time you saw me on Flosstube, which since that was never, I could have finished it any time. But I actually finished it just recently. And I'm sorry, I do not have the pattern. I'm not sure exactly where it is. I think I put it back in the file. So sorry, I'm not going to show you the pattern for this one, but this is called A Light Upon the Lawn, and it's a Blackbird design. And I had started it influenced by Brenda and the Serial Starter, Brenda and Laura, back from several months ago. And, Blackbird, buy all the Blackbirds. So I bought this pattern, started it, and then I finished it on the first Blackbird design weekend stitch along, which was the first weekend of May. I finished this, and that was fun. This is 18 count white Aida And these are DMC colors. Most of them are the recommended colors in the pattern. I made a couple of changes, not enough changes. I don't like the lack of contrast in the bird's wing, that large bird, but I learned a few things about picking floss. I really enjoyed stitching this. I enjoyed it so much that I started another Blackbird design, still that same weekend. So this one is from the book Sweet Land of Liberty, Blackbird Designs. And the one I am working on is this one right here, Salute to Abigail. Let me find the bigger picture of it. And I was attracted to this one partly because it's a patriotic one, and I like that. Also because it's another sampler, or actually I should say a sampler, which I've never really done a sampler, a true sampler that had alphabets and everything on it. And so I wanted to give it a try. And also it's only 4 colors. And I am doing this on 22 count harbinger, which I've had in my stash for ages. And these are DMC colors. The dark blue is the one that's called for in the pattern, and the other 3 are not the ones called for in the pattern. They are my substitutions. I am very much enjoying this. Really fun. And I mentioned a stash. I am actually newly returned to cross stitch. I did a lot of cross stitching back in the 80s and 90s when I was first married. When Christmas time comes, I will show you a cross stitch Christmas stocking I made for my husband back when we were first married. And I then had a child, our one son, and I just gave it up for a while because it was just, I couldn't do everything, I found. Isn't that odd? I know most of you can do everything, but I can't. And really, I picked up cross stitch again maybe 10 years ago, and I made a mistake, and I was black floss and couldn't see it very well, and I decided, you know, I don't think this is for me. So I set it aside again, but when I retired, I had time. And also, I had discovered YouTube. And I learned from some of you that one does not have to use one's naked eye to do cross stitch. One can use mechanical assistance. So I have very bright lights and a nice magnifying glass, and suddenly I can really do a lot more. So another thing I am working on is called Ornament, and this is something I found on an Etsy shop, and I don't have a color picture of it, mainly because I didn't have a color printer when I got it. I got this pattern. It's just called Ornament, and it's done in 2 shades of blue, which are DMC 820 and 798. And here's how far I am on it. I have to get a little farther back. So it's square. It's 25 units square, and so that large one is 4 units, if you will. And you can see I'm about 1/3 of the way done with this, and I'm enjoying this too. Trying to do the borders as I go along because they're actually nice. They're easy because I don't have to look at the pattern to do those. So that's fun. Another thing I'm working on is the Talavera, sorry, I'm losing my words. The Talavera Mystery Sal by Linens and Threads, and we have 5 months worth of this released. It's released on the 1st of each month starting January 1st. And this is charted as a monocolor, 1 color, but people are doing it in a lot of colors based on the Talavera tiles of Mexico. And I sort of held off for a while to see what other, there's a Facebook group about this, so I can see what a lot of people are doing, how a lot of people are choosing their colors. And after watching other people, I chose these colors, and this is also very enjoyable to work on. And I The completed block is February. The one next to it that's partially done is April. March is the design that's in the columns. The whole outline is January, and I'm not really finished with the outline, but I have it marked out where it goes. And then the May block has been released, which I haven't started to work on. But I didn't start working on this until possibly February 15th or something. I really wanted to see what other people's ideas about color were. And then finally, the most significant in terms of size piece that I am working on is called Under the Roof of Blue Ionian Weather, charted by Golden Kite. And this is based on a painting by Sir Lawrence Alma-Tadema, or Tadema, who's a 19th century romantic painter. He painted a lot of scenes from Greece and Rome. And this painting is kind of, I'll show you what my progress. I'm about 9% done, according to Pattern Keeper. A lot of gray, let me just say, a lot of gray. And you can see I use a hoop. This is 18 count ivory, Aida. I'm gridding it myself as I go along. I'm interested in that painting because a print of it hung over the piano in my grandmother's house, which later became our house. So it's very familiar to me. And I may be able to find a picture somewhere and show you some other time. It was in a massive gold leaf, gold gilt frame. And I actually, after my parents died, I had it here for a while in this house, but it's just too large an object for the size walls in a normal house. And so we didn't really have a place that we could put it that made sense, so we didn't. But anyway, I'm enjoying working on that. It's my only current full coverage piece, and at some point in the future, I may show you some former ones from times past. So as I mentioned, I'm actually mainly a quilter. I like to piece quilts, and my friend and I have a long arm quilting machine. We do our own quilting. We've done a few quilts for customers. We want to do more of that. And quilting is really the main thing I do, but it's really hard to show you an entire quilt on my iPhone screen down here in the family room. So instead I'm going to show you two small quilts that I have done. So this is paper piecing, foundation paper piecing, I should say. And this is a pattern by George Siciliano, who you can look him up. I don't have the pattern in front of me, but he chose it's a kit. I had a kit of fabrics and the foundation, and then I chose to put it in black with this little blue border on it. And I've made another one of these similar, not exactly like this, that from the same kit, same group of fabrics. These are, I'm 99% sure, Kona solids in rainbow colors. Really excellent quality. I took a class, my friend and I took a class from him back maybe 10 years ago or so, and just learned a lot, did some nice projects in the class, or that came from the class, and bought a few things because that's what one does, isn't it? And this is another paper pieced, foundation paper pieced quilt. It's a little wall hanging. I put a dowel across the back and a little hanger. It just hangs on a clear push pin, and it's Christmas cactus, and I hang this up at Christmas time. And I'll probably forget that I showed it in my first video, and so you'll see it again in a few months when I bring it out for Christmas. I actually made one of those for my friend that I've mentioned, and this one I made for my mother-in-law, and then when she dissolved her household and later died, I got it back, so really happy to have that. So that is it for tonight. I didn't even prepare a story. I'm not even talking to you about board games or Lego models. I will, however, mention the book that I'm currently reading, which is called All the Devils Are Here by Louise Penny. And it's maybe book 16 or so in the series, the Armand Gamache series, which are just the most charming mysteries. I say charming. Really, the mysteries are not charming. They're about murder, and there's some bad stuff that happens in them. But the main character, Armand Gamache, and his family figure in the mystery. He's the chief inspector. They take place, well, there's a lot of, they take place in Quebec, the province of Quebec, a lot of it. Not all of it, though. All the Devils Are Here actually takes place in Paris, some years after the first book. So the very first book, I think it's called Still Life by Louise Penny. Louise Penny. Louise Penny is the author. Excellent books. And I believe she's actually coming out with another one. I think there's another one planned. I will read it. Because one of the great things about reading the first book in a series is if you like it, there's another one. And if you don't like it, you haven't invested in a 3,000-page book. You've only invested in a 350-page book. So anyway, a great book, but start at the beginning. Still Life by Louise Penny is the first one. This one that I'm reading is called All the Devils Are Here. So that's all, and I will wish you good night and many blessings to you. Goodbye.